Task Force Z, issue 1, Matthew Rosenberg writing with Eddie Barrows on the art. So we have our zombie Suicide Squad, read by Red
Don't call
Hood.
them zombies, though.
I just said read by Red Hood. Led by Red Hood is what I meant to say. So, yeah, zombies, they don't like that word. They're trying to avoid that word.
Yeah.
So this gives us an example. There's a Crazy Quilt's being chased by a Man-Bat. Jason shows up. So we get some really nice art here. I thought like all the colours from Crazy Quilt really was a nice like bit of colour versus all the dark, shadowy Gotham rooftop stuff that's going on. But Bane shows up. Jason has to like calm Bane down with a Lazarus candy.
I just want to say, this isn't my kind of book, right? Like, I don't like zombies, and it's Jason Todd led, and I was a little bit hesitant on it. But I'll be damned if Rosenberg's not having, or it seems like he's having the time of his life writing this. Because it just seems like he has full, ability to do whatever he wants here. I mean, again, you just said Jason gives Bane a Lazarus candy to calm him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So, but it's basically to show just how dysfunctional this is and how, like, both Bane and Man-Bat almost kill, like, Crazy Quilt when they're supposed to bring him in alive. But we get, like, Red Hood, like, arguing with, like, the scientist lady, who I think they imply there might be more than one of her. Maybe she's cloned or something. Because later on, when he brings up the conversation he had when he sees her again, she's like, "What are you talking about?" Which makes me think, maybe they're just twins. I mean, that's possible. It's just a normal solution. But he also meets this redhead who's like, is she like a psychiatrist or something? Like, I wasn't even sure what she was supposed to be, but she's kind of like telling him off for using certain terminology and calling them monsters, and they're not monsters. Like,
they're your teammates.
Yeah, anyone can be rehabilitated, and Jason's being super cynical, and it's when they go to interrogate Crazy Quilt where he says to the other woman who we saw before, because the first time he sees her is when he's getting out of the shower, so he cracks a joke about him having clothes on, and she's like, "Am I supposed to know what the F you're talking about?" And I'm like, "Are you the same person technically? Are you like are you all robots? Are you all clones, or are you just like twins? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah.
I feel like something's there to be going on. So they send in Zombie Arkham Knight to be precise, to deal with Crazy Quilt. Crazy Quilt's shitting himself. He's refusing to talk. He says he knows nothing, but ultimately does give up some information. And Jason goes back out with the team of Man-Bat, Bane, Bloom, and Arkham Knight, all zombie form. Although Bloom points out that he's not technically dead. He's actually slightly different from the other ones.
Which, again, I was like, I never thought we'd see Mr. Bloom again.
I was not fond of that arc in Batman, so I inherently had kind of a dislike of Bloom just because he was associated with it. I have to admit, though, his insistence of correcting people that he's not dead was cracking me up a little bit in this issue. I was chuckling a little bit. Every time someone mentioned that they were all dead, and he's like, "I'm not dead. Just want to point out that I'm not dead."
Point out. And then also when things start going sideways, Jason's yelling for his help towards the end, and he goes like, "I can't help. I have this collar that's dampening my powers. You're gonna have to remove it." And it's kind of like, oh man, is this his game? Because I don't remember what Bloom's powers were exactly. So I'm sure we'll be reminded in the next issue.
Yeah, he bloomed things. Yeah. So this information, where they're tracking down whatever Quilt's involved in, it turns out to be Mr. Freeze and a bunch of cronies, and they're actually dealing in stolen Lazarus liquid, or resin is the exact word they use. So it's like the fact that they're dealing with Lazarus stuff when the Lazarus is what's been used to keep all these zombies alive is obviously very interesting and going to be a big plot point. So, but no, we get a lot of big art is Task Force Z. Fight Mr. Freeze and all of his cronies. I thought some of the layouts here were really cool, as Freeze is blasting various members with his ice gun. Just some fun stuff. I like that there's like a sort of Lazarus like shoulder dispenser on Man-Bat's shoulder that's obviously giving him more Lazarus juice as he needs it. I thought that was an interesting little touch in the art. But no, I like all this stuff here. Actually, one of the things I want to mention, I think it's this book. I think I glossed over it now that we're later on in the issue. But when Jason's getting out of the shower, there's a moment in the art where they put in some arrows. It's when he's talking to the scientist lady when he's getting out of the shower for the layout. They put in some arrows to show you which way to read the page. And obviously in an ideal world, good comic art shouldn't have to tell you. It should be very natural. But I actually want to compliment it and just appreciate the fact that they did this page and then they looked at it and went, you know what? Let's admit this isn't obvious which way you're supposed to read this to a certain point. So let's just put in the arrows, right? So it's a bit of a crutch, but you know what? I appreciate that they recognize that it might need it and they just put it in. They swallowed their pride and they just put in some arrows to help you read it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was worth pointing out. What did you think of all the big fighting towards the end?
No, I mean, it's fine. I just want to know, like, so the reading Future State, I had read the one issue of the Tim Drake Future State book where he was brought back with Lazarus resin. So this goes back to that, which I do like. I just want to know how exactly it works, because are we putting these characters back together? Because Freeze's Man-Bat cracks his head off and throws it at a frozen Bane.
Yeah, so he's got a frozen Man-Bat head in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, can it bring them back, or I'm not sure.
I mean, we don't know yet, but I suspect we're going to get Man-Bat's head stitched back on next issue.
Yeah. So like, there's just stuff like that, but no, I mean it's good. I like Eddie Barrows. I've been a fan of his art for a while.
I like his Freeze. His Freeze looks good.
Yeah, he did the Freedom Fighters mini that I read by Venditti. Big fan of that. His art fits this well because he's dealing with, Bane and Man-Bat are very monstrous here, and everything's kind of over exaggerated in the best ways. Bloom is very creepy with his proportions. So, and it makes Jason stand out that much more because he's kind of like the regular dude on the team of monsters, which I like that's his viewpoint here. So, the art's really working with the storytelling. Barrows is great at layouts, I think, too. So,
all the stuff, once the ice fight starts, which is what I'm calling it, like all the layouts as like they're dodging, as Jason's dodging like the ice blast, and then like, there's other characters getting trapped in ice or snow. All that stuff looks great. Nice fluid motion to it all, and then the cliffhanger at the end of the issue is that Freezy's like I don't know, his ice proton pack, what do you call it?
His containment unit.
It blows up, and Jason gets trapped in some ice, and he's lying there, and zombie Arkham Knight is crawling towards him like he's going to eat him. So it's like, oh shit, I'm in an actual like zombie movie moment, and that's kind of it's like a joke cliffhanger almost, basically. So I think if you read this issue, you're going to have a good idea if you want to stick around for the rest of it. If you're into the fun that it's having. I got
caught up on the detective. I went back to my Detective Comic issues and read, which I don't know if that was necessary to read. That was almost just kind of like a...
I mean, it depends if they explain why Jason's involved with them at all, but...
right.
I think it's...
But from that story with Deb Donovan, though, it was... He was searching stuff independently on his own, and then she ran into him, and they ended up deciding to work together, if I remember right.
That's right.
So here it seems like they made a trade, and that he's working for the organization because he had gotten into some trouble, which doesn't line up. Either way, I'm sure we'll get the thing. But I went into this a little bit hesitant, going like, I don't know. I ended up really enjoying this issue. So, it's a whole lot of fun. Is this a mini or is this an ongoing?
I think this is technically an ongoing, if I remember right.
Okay, well, I'm excited to see how long they can keep this going. If they're gonna restock it every couple arcs with new undead villains,
I don't suspect it'll last that long, but I mean, you're gonna get 12 issues, 18 issues out of it by the time it's done.
So
see how it goes.
And I was talking to a friend about this in another forum, but about like Jason Todd's been effectively rehabbed, at least in my eyes, over the course of the last year and a half. And it's like, hey, if you give good creators time to work on characters, there's no real, we say it all the time, No such thing as a bad character.
I feel like you've said this about Jason Todd every time he's came up in the last like 6 months.
And I can't justify going, oh, it's a Jason Todd book, I don't want to read it. You know? Like, I have to kind of like, oh, it's Rosenberg writing Jason. Gotta kind of check it out now. So, you know, it's weird to me because he was like, how I felt about Jason Todd is how you feel about Guy Gardner. And now that they're taking my reasons away, you know, and I can't do that anymore. And it's very frustrating.
Oh, well. What are you rating Task Force Z, issue 1?
I'm going to give this an 8.
I'm probably just going to give it a 7. But I dug it. I had fun. And I'm going to read issue 2. I had a good time with it. And I think Rosenberg tends to be a very dependable, just kind of like fun writer, as opposed to someone who writes important stuff, which is like an insult almost. Yeah. But like, you know, it feels like a void in the list of comics that I think is dependable. So, cool.